Happy September 1st, everyone, and welcome. September always feels like the beginning of autumn for me, even though we're still quite a ways away from the equinox. And I wanted to mark this day by kicking off a little series that I'm going to be sharing over the next 2 months through little videos, blog posts, podcasts, and maybe a few other ways for how we can share and weave in magic into our everyday lives and the animistic mindset and viewpoint that our ancestors had. And it's going to culminate in my very first course, which I'll be offering starting at the end of October. And so I wanted to really start at the beginning with hearth magic and why everyone should practice it and 3 ways to do it. And I'm going to just do it in this little presentation here. I'll be upfront and say that video is not my favorite way of communicating. However, in the course, I will be doing all of the materials presentations live. So I'm using these little videos as sort of a practice run to get used to being more in front of the camera and communicating with people in this way. Most of you know that I'm a writer, and so putting words on paper is where I feel most comfortable. But I also know that other people appreciate other ways of communication. So this is my attempt to try that, so please bear with me. I might be reading a little bit from my little prompter here, so I hope it's not too distracting. But that said, there has been a huge resurgence of people trying to get back to the old ways, which is what I love, and I find that so comforting. And a lot of people know that they want to go back there, that they want to remember the stories of our ancestors and allow those things to help them in their everyday life, but they're not exactly sure how to do it. And I always like to do things simply and down to earth. And so these are some of the ways that I figured out how to do it. Because if we want to honor the old ways, we have to start at home. And hearth magic is commonly known as the magic of the home, so it's really the perfect place to start. But hearth magic is not all domestic goddesses and kitchen witches, although sometimes it is. But simply put, hearth magic is a magical art that's accessible to anyone who wants to infuse the mundane parts of life with magic. It's simple, but a game changer in terms of how you view and interact with the world. Hearth magic is a deep practice of taking simple and everyday things and diving deep with them to discover the mysteries held within. And it's available to everyone. Hearth magic practices are life-affirming. And if we want to live our magic and see it all around us, we have to start with where we live. Sorry about that. So when we honor the land that we live on and the home that we live in and the relationships with those that we share our lives with, those seen and unseen, we tend to the ancestors and the old powers. Hearth magic connects us to our past through helping us to access the wisdom of our ancestors. Our ancient grandmothers were super resilient and smart, and they kept our birthright, our magic, safe for us by hiding it in plain sight. And they used the most mundane tools available to wield it and domestic activities to send it out into the world to do its work. Hearth magic connects us to our future as we care for the ones who come after us, and through honoring their innate wisdom, curiosity, and imagination, especially in our children, we uphold those gifts as the sacred tools that they are. Hearth magic might also be the easiest way to connect to the spirit world and the old powers too. I believe that the ancients saw hearth magic as a gateway to the other world, and this makes it one of the most spiritual and magical places, not only in the home, but in general, the hearth. And we all have our inner hearths too. Here are 3 easy and impactful ways you can start practicing hearth magic today. One of the best ways to connect with our ancestors is to engage in work that they also participated in when they were alive. For example, preparing, eating, and offering them ancestral foods through feeding them to any young family members in your life. This act, we honor the ones who came before us through feeding and nourishing the next generations because we're all connected. We're basically the latest model of our ancestors manifest. So our young ones are the next model, and so therefore they are the ancestors. And when we feed them, we feed and nurture our relationship with the ancestors too. So to do this, you can use a recipe you already have from your family or a typical recipe from a region that your ancestors came from and use that. I have a post on my blog for how I use Sicilian caponata to honor some of my ancestors. The next thing that you can do is to engage in imaginative play with your young ones or read them their favorite stories. Through myth, those they create for themselves or the ones they love to hear again and again, we can begin to understand the unique magic that our children possess, the gifts that they have to share with the world, the unique work that they came here to do. And through these activities, we can help nourish their spirits and support their gifts. And the third thing is to honor your own inner light, your own individual hearth fire. And you can see that in any way. You can see that inside of your heart, like a big fireplace. To me, it tends to show up as like a burning sacred heart. And it's a touchstone for me that I use to see if the words that I'm saying or the things that I'm writing or the things that I'm putting out to try to help people come back to the old ways is right. Because when it resonates with my inner hearth fire, then I know that it's right. And you can do that too. You know that you've accessed your own inner hearth fire when you feel lit up and you learn to recognize how your body feels when this is happening. So it might call you with like a hum through your veins, or you might feel cozy, like someone just wrapped you in a warm hug or a blanket, or you might feel the need to jump up and dance around the house with a giant smile on your face. Everything is unique to you. So once you start to recognize when your inner hearth fire is lit, then you know that you're doing something that's aligned with it. So do the things that light you up every day to help to keep the fires burning bright. That's my 3 things. So I hope that you will play with these practices and you'll let me know how it goes. You can find me through my website and any social media channels, especially Instagram. And I love to engage with people on these topics, so feel free to reach out anytime. Also, I suggest that you sign up for my mailing list so that you can get more of these down-to-earth tools and you will be aware of when I post something new in this little series for bringing more magic into your life. And you can do that in 2 ways. There is a link in my bio that's directly to the email list. And there's also a really fun quiz that I made called Which Key Opens Your Unique Ancestral Wisdom. And it's a fun little quiz that you can take, and it sort of is an introduction to this work that I'm going to be putting out at the end of October in form of a class. Obviously, it will be a lot more detailed to the quiz, but the quiz is kind of just like a fun little taste. So I hope that you will join, and I look forward to seeing you around more. Thanks for listening.